In today's lesson, we're going to look at being able to name and looking at different types of angles. So, the first thing we need to understand is the parts of the angles. You might have heard me use some terms in the previous lesson that you weren't familiar with. So we've got our angle here. We have a vertex is the point, and it's the point where the two rays meet. Okay, the angle is obviously the amount of turn between the rays. And also the unit of measurement for degrees is, the unit of measurement of angles is degrees, which we show with a little superscript circle. So naming angles is really important, and the convention is to name the angle with 3 points. So 1 point for each ray at its ends, and the vertex is in the middle. So what that means, and sometimes we use a symbol to show it's an angle. So here we've got an angle. If we were to label that angle, we would call it as VXC. And key thing is that we would put a little angle sign there to say that it was referring to that. The reason for that is a lot of our angle work is dealing with triangles. Oh. And if I quickly change that angle, that would be triangle BXC. The critical point, so that's why we do that. The critical point for the angles is that it could be labelled in two different ways, but in either case that's correct. We end up with the X in the center, and that's really the most important part. So if we look at examples of why this is important, so we've got the angle there ABC, but we could have called it angle CBA because B is in the center. So triangles have 3 angles in them, hence their name. So the angle here is that we have DEF, EDF, and DFE. The reason why the naming is so important is that commonly we would use one letter at the vertex to describe an angle. And if we said angle R, there'd be 2 possible angles that could be used. We could use this angle, or we could use the angle below it. This 3-letter naming system makes it a lot easier that we can name both of them and refer to each one. So what I want you to have a quick go in your books. If you don't have your books, you can use some scrap paper or something like that. Is once I've that you can pause the video, have a go. There are 6 angles on the diagrams there. You can have a go at solving them. Or naming them. Shouldn't take you too long. Give yourself 2 minutes to get it done as quickly as possible. Once you're finished, just press play on the video again. So just pause the video now and okay, that you should have completed naming all those angles. So let's take a look. So we've got this one here, which is IKS. We've got SKY, and obviously you could go the other way. We've got LAR, RAT, rat, TAN for tan, and we've got NAB. Now obviously you could have reversed that, those as well. So hopefully you got those right. I'm sure you did. Okay, so just summarizing those points, we've got this one here. So the other thing that I would like to go through this lesson is talking about types of angles. So if we have this diagram where we've got 0 degrees, and if that's the first ray of our angle, then our angle could be anywhere all the way around to 360. Now, depending on the size of each angle, we have different types. So anything that is between 90 and 0 we call an acute angle. Anything that is exactly 90 degrees, it's called a right angle. And we signify a right angle by putting a square in the corner rather than 90. You still do see people put 90 there, and that's not a problem if people do, but we call it a right angle. After a right angle, we have an angle between 90 and 180, and that's obtuse. And then the last one is one that is between 180 and 360. And notice that, it's called a reflex angle. All reflex angles also have either an obtuse angle or an acute angle attached on the inside. So we're talking about the angle of the outside is the reflex angle. An easy way I've always remembered the angles is that we talk about babies. Babies tend to be a bit small, so that's 90 to 0. 90 to 180. Obtuse kind of sounds obese, so it's a bigger angle. And reflex angles look like elbows, and there's reflexes in your elbow. Not a perfect way to remember it, but it's worked for me. So those regions and any angle within those regions is described as those sizes. So here we have the final notes of the different types of angles. You can stop this video now and go to the lesson OneNote, where there's some worksheets for you to complete. Firstly, for naming angles, and secondly, for looking at different types of angles.